We are making a coconut curry drip beef. This is something I've been wanting to make for a while now, so I am really excited about this one. For this recipe, I'm using an Angus beef chuck tender roast, and it is just over 2 pounds, 2.81 pounds. Now, pretty much everything is made over at the stovetop, so we're gonna go ahead and move over there. All right, first things first, we're gonna preheat that oven to 350, and then take some olive oil, and that's gonna go here into my Dutch oven. You need about 2 tablespoons. I probably went a little bit less, and even though it doesn't look like it, I promise it's clean. This thing is very well loved. And we should probably turn the stovetop on. All right, while that is heating up, we're gonna go ahead and prep the beef here. And I'm just gonna use a plate. Take this out. The goal right now is to add really good flavor. So we're going to season it up using salt and pepper first. And we're gonna do all sides. You kind of need to over salt, over season. It's just a way the cut of meat like this is. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of flavors inside of the pot, but I definitely suggest season really, really well, more than you might think that you need to. Okay, let's add a little bit of pepper, just kind of a dusting. And we are also gonna dust with flour. Oh, actually I have a flour thing. Let me use that. Hello, that's a lot better. Okay, so overall you're using about 2 tablespoons. So let's flip, season the other side. Let me wash my hands. I wanna make sure that this is gonna have excellent flavor. And dusting again with flour. All right, my oil is nice and hot, so this is gonna get transferred to that nice and hot pan, and we're gonna sear it really well. I do have a larger Dutch oven, and it may have been smarter to go with that one. We'll see how this goes. Oh yeah, that's gonna get really good color underneath there. It's gonna be so good. Now, this is not really a dinner that you start 30 minutes before you're ready to eat. This is a dinner that you are cooking earlier because it's gonna go in the oven. Now, you're not gonna have to babysit it, which is great, but it's gonna go in the oven and it's just gonna cook for a while and it's gonna be so delicious. All right, so you just wanna keep rotating it and making sure that you're searing all sides. So I've turned it now so that it got the underside. Look how good that looks right there. Now we're gonna turn it in just a minute and get this side. Man, it's gonna be awesome. Okay, we are going to turn our heat down, and this is gonna come out and just set on this plate. You can set it on a tray or something like that, completely up to you. And we're gonna add in some other ingredients here. We do have some that kind of burnt, so I'm gonna pull that out. That's my fault for adding too much flour there. We are going to be adding some beef bone broth. We need about 1 cup. Okay, we'll add that. And you can add more, but we are just gonna add 1 can of coconut milk. Some of the recipes I saw call for 2, but we are gonna cut down on the fat content a little bit and just add 1. I did shake this can beforehand, so hopefully it's mixed. Doesn't look like it is though. So by the way, that when your can separates like that, it's totally okay. You don't have to worry about it. And actually, I'm gonna incorporate that well before we add anything else in there. So we're just creating your braising liquid at this point. Don't be afraid to scrape off the leftover bits on the bottom. Okay, this is looking good. All right, the recipe calls for soy sauce. We are using coconut aminos, and you need about a 1/4 cup. Oh, yay! I love when they do this. I mean, when you need a 1/4 cup, it takes a little bit more time. But if you need like a tablespoon, it's a whole lot easier to have this thing on there. All right, we've got some red curry paste. This is something that I love using in recipes. We are going to add probably 2 tablespoons. You can add probably up to 3, but considering we did less coconut milk, I think 2 will be good. And then we're also gonna add ginger. You can obviously grate your own ginger, but I always have this just squeezed ginger available and ready to go. So we are gonna add some of this. If you were grating your own ginger, it calls for a 1-inch piece of ginger, which is a pretty decent amount grated. So I'm adding a pretty decent amount of this one as well. Let's just give this a mix, start to incorporate those flavors. It smells really, really good. I'm also adding in minced garlic. It says 3 to 4 cloves, so that's about what I'm going for. Remember, this is the braising liquid, so you want it to have a lot of flavor because it's going to just infuse that meat. And then if you're using soy sauce, you're gonna add some sugar. I am not adding sugar because we used coconut aminos and it's much sweeter than soy sauce. So I don't wanna add sugar and have it be too sweet. Here is where we add the beef back in. I'm just gonna nestle that back in there. Oh yeah, oh, this is a perfect size pot for this. Awesome. The lid is gonna go on this, and my oven is currently preheated to 350 degrees. This is going to cook in the oven for 2 hours. Yes, you did hear that right. It is cooking for 2 hours. This is a slow braising process. It's gonna be delicious because all that liquid in there is gonna help. Trust me. All right, we're gonna take 2 forks and just start to shred this up. All right, we are not quite ready. All right, so let's put this back in and let it cook for maybe 20 more minutes or so, and we'll see if we're closer to shredding. So I did let this go longer than it suggested. It's actually been in there for about 2.5 hours, and I think you could probably even go longer. Most of the pieces were nice and tender. Now, one thing I'm gonna do is, you guys are gonna be surprised by this, but we've got some red onion here, and I'm just gonna put it to the side a little bit. And this is going to just kind of sit with the lid on for a few minutes. We don't need them to get super soft or anything. It's gonna add a nice bit of crunch. If you have basil, that would be beautiful in here right now too. So let's just put the lid on for about 5 more minutes, and then this will be ready to go. All right, we are serving ours with potatoes. I think traditionally, this would probably be served with rice, but we just had rice last night, I believe, and I just wanted to do something a little bit different. So we thought potatoes would be a good option. So I just roasted them in the air fryer. This looks really delicious. It's been braising for several hours. Look at that liquid. So good. It's gonna be so delicious, you guys. It smells amazing. I'm gonna add some of this to the top just for some extra color. All right, so with some basil, pop of green, man, that would be beautiful. Let's give this a try. I did try it as I was cutting it up, but I didn't really try it like with the sauce. Wow. Absolutely worth the time that this takes. So good. I mean, these are flavors that I absolutely love. This is delicious. There's so much depth of flavor. I can't even explain it. It is very, very good. We are going to make another 1-pot dinner. This is a 1-pot spaghetti. It's supposed to be Italian sausage. I thought we had Italian sausage, but we're actually gonna use ground beef because we don't have it. And I'm not gonna go to the grocery store at 4:48, which is when I'm starting this. All right, so tonight we're using the smaller Dutch oven, which I actually might regret. We'll see how this goes. I've got my heat turned on. I'm using a little bit of oil in mine because my beef is a pretty lean ground beef. Don't feel like you have to do this if you're using Italian sausage. You probably don't need any extra fat. All right, friends, we're going to brown up about a pound of ground beef. Like I said, if you're using Italian sausage, that is gonna be delicious too. All right, this is one of those, oh man, I already did get stuff on me. I should be wearing an apron at all times. All right, now my preference is to add, oh, that's not the salt, that is my butter crock. My preference is to salt this a little bit just to make sure that the meat has really good flavor. You don't have to do this, especially with Italian sausage. It already has such good flavor, but since I'm using beef, that's what I feel like is probably necessary. And I'm not looking at cooking this the entire way. We just need to get it partially cooked so that I can add in green peppers. All right, so I'm gonna push this to the side a little bit, still gonna continue to cook. And let's add in those green peppers that I chopped. I actually meant to add them next to the beef, not a big deal. This is also the part where you would want to add in onions if you were gonna be using onions. Okay, so we're just gonna let all this kind of saute. Okay, so the prep time on this one is really, really short, okay? It really is not gonna take any time at all. You're just letting this kind of soften a bit. Remember, it's gonna be in there for a while, so you're not looking at everything being completely cooked. Just a little saute to give that extra flavor. I'm gonna turn my heat down to a medium, and we're gonna add some minced garlic here. We're gonna add about a full tablespoon of minced garlic. If that feels like too much to you, go ahead and cut that down, but you know, we like garlic here. And we'll just let that saute for just a minute. Man, once you add that garlic, you start getting that fragrance. Oh man, so good. At this point, depending on the fat content in your meat, I feel like I've been doing this for forever and some people think it's really weird, but I just take a paper towel, fold it in half, pinch it with my tongs, and I'll take my pot holder, lay it to the side and just kind of soak up some of that extra grease. Super simple to do, and you don't have to pull out all of it, but maybe just some of it. Perfection. Let's add in some of this other stuff. We need to add in about a tablespoon of fennel. I love fennel, okay? If you don't like fennel, maybe cut this down just a little bit, but especially if you're using sausage, there's actually probably already fennel in the sausage and it's so good. So don't skip on that. We would normally be adding Italian seasoning, but I am apparently out of that and didn't even realize it. So instead we're going with oregano, and we are going to add about 2 teaspoons. You know, I don't like to measure. I use a dash of this and a dash of that, but as always, feel free to measure anything that you like if you're not a dash of this and a dash of that type of person. Okay, smelling amazing, you guys. Oh my goodness, you're missing. This is where the smell-o-vision comes into play. We do need to add just a touch more salt just to make sure everything's good, about a half teaspoon or so. And then also feel free to add pepper. I do like to add some red pepper flakes. This is a preference of mine. Go easy though. If you don't like heat, you definitely don't want to add too much. So even like a 1/4 teaspoon will add a great amount of heat and flavor, but it won't take it over the top. The smell right now, oh my goodness. I'm gonna turn my heat down just a little more. We're actually more to like a medium low right now. And I have this can, where did it go? Here it is. I have a can of fire roasted diced tomatoes. You guys know when I use diced tomatoes, I love fire roasted. There's just something about it. I do not like to drain these because the fire roasted cans have all the good flavors in them. We also need to add about 3 cups of broth. So I'm gonna be using a mixture of a beef bone broth and a mixture of a chicken bone broth. And the reason I'm doing that is because I actually kind of need to use up the beef bone broth. It's been in there a little longer. And so I'd like to just go ahead and get that one used up. So I'm gonna do probably like a half and half. Yep, that's gonna be perfect. So that's a 1.5 cups of the beef, and then we'll do about 1.5 cups of the chicken bone broth. Feel free to use stock or just chicken broth too. It doesn't have to be bone. That's just something that we do. All right, let's stir all this together. Feel free to use spaghetti noodles. We do not have spaghetti noodles right now, but I have another kind of noodle that I feel like would be really delicious in this. And I wish I had the packaging so I could show you, but I transferred it to my container. I don't remember the name of it. It came in a bag, like a baggie. I will do my very best to find the name and put it on the screen, or maybe even a picture of the bag. But we're just gonna take this and we're gonna just put all of this in here. You need at least 8 ounces. This might be a little more than 8 ounces, but I think it's gonna be okay. Okay, so we're just gonna put all this in here, and we're really gonna try and nestle the pasta into the liquid. This is gonna make a ton. Like, I'm really not gonna have to cook tomorrow. There's just no way. Okay, well, we were gonna try to nestle it into the liquid, but this is a lot of pasta. It's gonna be okay. I'll come back and stir it in just a minute. I think it's gonna be fine. We'll see. Experimental, like everything else in this kitchen. You guys know, this shouldn't be shocking. I'm gonna put a lid on this so that we can bring it up to a simmer. That's really what we're looking for right now. So I'm cranking up my heat, and this should take about 2 to 3 minutes to bring this up. Okay, we're at a good simmer. You can hear it, see it. This is good. I'm gonna kind of rearrange the noodles a little bit so we can get some of these under there. Oh, it would be helpful to open my tongs. My husband made a recipe with these noodles the other night, and it was so delicious. So I'm hoping that this one is gonna be as good as the one that he made. Okay, so now that we have a kind of a low boil simmer type of thing here, let's turn this down to like a medium and just let it cook for a few minutes, about 10 minutes or so. I'll come back. We're gonna keep stirring man, I really should have used the bigger Dutch oven, y'all. We're gonna let this cook for about 10 minutes. I'll keep kind of flipping the noodles around, stirring it a little bit, just to make sure nothing gets like real sticky or nothing gets, you know, undone. And then we'll be back. But I forgot to say we're gonna put the lid back on. Totally forgot that part. I feel like if I did day in the life, you guys could see what it's really like when I'm filming here in the kitchen, because the time of day that I'm filming, the kids are outside playing. They play outside every single day. I mean, they will play outside in the rain. It doesn't matter. This is like their time to be out there. But it's usually in and out, in and out. I need water. Can I have a popsicle? You know, all the things, all the questions. Unloading the dishwasher, loading everything up. Like, behind the scenes it's a circus. All right, so let's take this lid off. It has been cooking for 10 minutes. I've got some coconut milk, okay? I went ahead and stirred it because coconut milk has a tendency to settle in the can. You can also use heavy whipping cream here, so don't feel like you have to go and get coconut milk. We're gonna pour in, let's say 3/4 of a cup or so. That's probably good. And we're going to make a huge mess, but I'm gonna reserve the rest of this can. Let's stir this together. Oh, it is starting to stick at the bottom, so be careful of that. I feel like this is going to be good with ground beef, but I do think, man, if we had Italian sausage, I'm a huge fan of Italian sausage, okay? So I would love that. All right, so we've got that coconut milk all mixed in. Let's put a lid back on. Make sure it's not too hot. Put a lid back on for 5 more minutes. We are going to add about a tablespoon of vinegar. Now you can also add lemon juice if that's what you prefer. I do not have any lemon juice right now. Gosh, I feel like I've said that a couple times in this video that I'm out of something. So clearly I need to make a trip to the grocery store. We're gonna turn our heat off, and I'm actually gonna move this off of this burner. The sauce will thicken up a little bit, so we're gonna set it on another burner and just let that happen, and then it'll be ready to serve. The sauce actually thickened up quite a bit, so we don't need to let it sit for too long, but just a touch, just a little bit. Now we've got our nice pile of pasta. I am gonna top with just a little bit of mozzarella cheese. You do not have to do this. This is very optional. You could even mix this in though if you really wanted to. And just because I feel like it looks pretty, we're gonna add just a touch of green onion. But feel free to add like parsley or something here too. All right, before I serve up everyone else's, I'm gonna give it a try. It's very good. The noodles are cooked to perfection, okay? I mean like the absolute perfection. And I'm telling you, if you had Italian sausage, this would be over the top. The flavors are awesome, but man, Italian sausage would be so good. Like, so good that if we didn't have enough to serve the entire neighborhood, I would probably go to the grocery store and make this again tomorrow with Italian sausage. Very, very good and so pretty.
Our verse today comes from John 1:14. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory. Glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. If you guys enjoyed today's video, I'm telling you, you absolutely want to watch this one right here next. Click the video that I have linked right above here. It is absolutely some of the best recipes we've ever had. I'm telling you, the flavors are phenomenal and you do not want to miss this one. You're going to get so much more inspiration out of this video. Have a great week.